Welcome everyone. Today we have our another new episode and we will discuss on AI versus entry-level jobs. Who get the first opportunity? We have our world famous speaker, Mr. Rob, Madam Ali Rice, Lisa, and Mr. David Smith. Mr. Rob, I already read your articles about this topic. This is very interesting that we choose this topic and you have your own articles. What you want to discuss about this point, and you can share your article with our audience.
Sure, I'll put the article in comments. It's on Medium. I'll do that in a minute. So the trend we're looking at right now is that we're seeing a silent attrition in the corporate world of entry-level jobs. Basic coders, junior analysts, and copywriters are three categories that are just being gutted, with the idea that the companies will favor more senior level folks. Fortune was the one that Fortune was the publication that I quoted in my own article, because they did a study on this, and it's a very tactical approach. Folks are trading off the $65,000 entry salaries. Of course, I see that number. I go, well, I remember what my entry salary was. It was quite a bit lower than that, but inflation. And it looks like an AI agent at a fraction of the cost could do this, but it's really destroying their seed corn. These entry-level employees are the ones that grow up to be senior-level folks. And if you just try to transfer across senior-level folks from company to company, they don't have the provenance. They don't have the knowledge of how the company works. And now if you're asking these folks through prompting and overview, review what AI is doing on their behalf, if they don't have an understanding of how the job should be done, then they're not really going to be able to manage the AIs and assure that they can do the job, or they do the appropriate job. And basically, you bleed expertise. And so over time, the only thing that has expertise is the AI, and that makes it very difficult. Particularly the AI does hallucinate, which is going to be an ongoing problem for the oversight staff to be able to identify and then correct the hallucination. And in the end, even the senior staff has to become redundant because the skills age out. And we've got an historical warning for this. Back in the late 1990s and early 2000s, companies thought, hey, we can save a ton of money by outsourcing IT to other countries, and that didn't go well. To really do the job, you need to have an understanding of how the companies run, who the customers are, what the market conditions are. And outsourcing an IT function to another country, which doesn't know the business, doesn't know the geography, doesn't know the needs of the employees or the customers, you're gonna save some money, but as penny wise, pound foolish, you're gonna lose a lot of customers, and customer satisfaction, of course, kind of cratered. So the lesson here is you really, and I'll pass here in a minute, and I'll talk a little bit later on about what to do about this. But right now, we're on a tactical path to destruction. And one of the problems with correcting this that we have to kind of think about is CEO tenure tends to be under 8 years, and the adverse impact to this probably won't materialize. And I'll talk a bit later about what it's going to like. It's probably not going to really materialize until the mid 2030s, when it's going to become a dire problem. And then 2040 in particular. And of course, all the existing CEOs will be long gone by then. So why fund something that's going to go contrary to the tactical benefits of getting rid of entry-level employees and replacing them with AI? One final comment before I pass is we're also discovering that the AI costs are quite a bit higher than anybody anticipated. Even the AI firms are cutting back on usage with curtailment of models in Microsoft and Facebook in particular, because the costs have drifted way, way, way out of hand. And so even the fundamental math justifying what they're doing tactically is being questioned at the moment. And I'll pass to Ali.
Thank you, Madam Ali Rice. My specific questions: as AI increasingly perform tasks once assigned to interns and junior employees, how can young professionals gain the practical experience needed to launch their career? What's your thought?
First of all, I think from my experience, the best way to do it is to kind of network. And as soon as you've got your qualifications, or even before you graduate, is kind of networks. So you meet people that are in the industry that you're going to. And I also think you need to be creative and versatile. But I think trying to get your foot in the door so that people know who you are and where your passions lie is really important. I also think that kind of demonstrating, so, you know, if you're in the creative industry, you need to be able to demonstrate the versatility you've got and the skills and kind of the soft skills as well. So your ability to communicate and collaborate. And I think one of the things that most people, well, I think most people don't realize that if you get a young person that's just graduated, that they have so little fear and so much possibility. It's amazing. So I think the thing is, they're a little gold mine that, you know, that companies can really benefit from. So it should be beneficial for them and for you. And I think from my research, you know, AI is really good for data and algorithms and, you know, all of the patterns and the stuff that could, you know, if people are submitting kind of data, takes them hours, and AI can do it within seconds. But I think the thing is to have context and understand the nuances of things are really important. And I think that's where AI fails. So, and I also think that building human relationships with clients or customers or guests or whichever field you're in, that kind of connection is invaluable. And that's the thing that makes people want to kind of do business with you as opposed to somebody else. So I think the thing is that young people need to have those soft skills, but also have that kind of creativity and versatility so that they can turn their hand to anything, but come armed with, you know, with the digital skills they need to be kind of, to be able to diversify. So, yeah. So I think that creativity is really key.
Thank you. Lisa, what your response about this question? The same question as AI increasingly powerful does. Yeah.
I would like to actually take a look at what has been happening in terms of computers and computer technology. Of course, living here in the States, I can say most definitely that the vast majority of internships in those fields have not been originally from America. They're students here on visas. So what we're actually seeing is an expanding of opportunity for those individuals all around the world, regardless of where they come from or how they grew. If they do have the very basics of these skills, they can pretty much name their place, especially in the early years. Once we start seeing more of the difficulties that AI can produce coming forward, the little ones right now today are simply because the system itself hasn't integrated within itself as of yet. But as we get to that position where we get closer to what they try to spook us out with, the singularity business going on, and I've actually seen a horror film on that, the singularity. What we're likely going to be seeing is a large number of people who are youth during this decade that are going to be coming out in front in terms of artificial intelligence and the many uses that it can bring to us all.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. David, do you believe AI will ultimately create more entry-level jobs than it eliminates, or will it permanently reduce opportunity for first-time job seeker? Why?
Well, I personally believe it will create more jobs than it gets rid of, but they're just going to be in a very different form. You know, I think a number of the first-run roles won't disappear. They're just going to shift upward in complexity and sidewards into new domains. And Lisa, I find it interesting in that when I look at computer science grads placements at places like here in Austin, UT, Stanford, MIT, and others, their placement rates are dramatically down. So the computer science entry level, I do believe, has dried up a whole lot. Mm-hmm. But you know, as you go and look at where we are now, why is AI reducing old entry-level jobs? Most of the entry-level jobs were repetitive. They were rule-based tasks. They were drafting basic content. They were data cleaning. and routine analysis. And AI is pretty good at those, as long as you keep a human in the loop. But here's why you're going to see, I think, much more there. You're going to see that it's going to create more strategic jobs. It expands the surface area of what a small team can attempt. You know, that you can launch more projects, explore more ideas. You can do more scenarios. You can do more prototypes. So it's going to be more opportunities for juniors to own a meaningful piece of the work. Juniors who needed 6 to 12 months become useful can now contribute in weeks with this. But you're going to see new jobs like AI workflow designer, AI quality assurance analyst, AI prompt engineer. I spoke recently at a conference and multiple people said one of the hottest jobs right now is the AI prompt engineers. You're going to see a lot more jobs in governance and compliance, and really some new jobs in AI research synthesis. But understand, even the most AI cannot navigate organizational politics. It's not going to understand stakeholder nuances. It can't build trust. It can't manage interpersonal dynamics, and it's not it. It has no empathy. So you're going to see those going, and that's places where entry-level people can have a real insight as they go. Because, like Rob says, if you don't hire entry level now, you're not going to have the senior levels down the road. And so, you know, it will create more early career opportunities in the limit, but they will look nothing like the entry level jobs of the past. So, Dr. Shreve, that's my answer.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Rob, what your response on this question specifically? We are discussing.
Right now, the track we're on is less jobs. There are way too many technology companies setting a trend about eliminating jobs associated with AI deployment, and if that trend continues, the jobs are going to be smaller. Yes, that the estimate right now is the AI is affecting around 90 million job types and may create 170 million more. But each of those categories in the 170 million is far narrower in terms of the number of employees that will be in each category than the 90 million that it's initially affecting. So the difficulty is AI is a force multiplier. One person can do the job of several people. The smart companies are recognizing that it can be a force multiplier for entry-level employees. In other words, you can bring an entry-level employee in, couple them with a well-trained AI, and they can punch above their weight. And so that's your bargain. And then you can raise up the entry-level employee into more advanced stages, and you haven't destroyed your seed corn. Thus, companies, we'll call them stupid companies for lack of a better term, that are outsourcing their jobs to AI. They're the companies that are probably not going to be around in 10 to 15 years. And this is something that the employees themselves need to consider. These bad practices, this use of AI to treat employees as largely fungible, replaceable components, that's a company you do not want to work for. Not only is the longevity of that employee going to be in question as you move up in the organization, but there's a pretty good chance you may not move up in the organization. You may get laid off in a few short years, ending your career path. Of course, it's been a long time since we've had career paths like we had when I first joined IBM, where you were employed for life, and now you're employed at will, and so your jobs, regardless, are not as secure as they might have been back in the 50s and 60s. And 70s. So that's something to be aware of as well. But fundamentally, at least from what I can tell about current trends, the overall number of jobs that are going to be available post AI are going to be far smaller than the number of jobs that are available now. There'll be different jobs, and there'll be exciting jobs, But because in many cases you'll be rather than doing spreadsheets and all the stuff that a lot of us really did a lot of but hated doing, that'll be done by AI, and you'll be doing more a job of orchestration, review, and strategy, which I think is a lot more interesting potentially, but only if you have the right skill set. Only if you learn to properly prompt. Only if you have the understanding, the business understanding, the operational understanding, to understand how to do the quality checks that need to be done, and have the willingness and desire to do this stuff. The other issue we're kind of glossing over, and we discovered this again at IBM while I was there, when we decided to get rid of the print division, and decided to turn all the print division folks into accountants supporting finance. They sucked as accountants. In fact, a few years later, I got in trouble for pointing out that IBM's books had no basis in fact. They'd become completely decoupled from reality. And that's decades ago, so I'm not sure I don't think I get shot for saying this now. Back then I would have. That was a very closely held secret that IBM's, and this is me out of internal audit, that IBM's books had no basis in reality. It was all estimated, because none of the systems were reporting accurately, and the accountants, the majority of accountants that we had were ex-printer guys that didn't like accounting or know how to do it. And so the end result was we dodged a bullet because that never leaked. But the fact is, when you make these kinds of decisions where you're removing people that are experienced and knowledgeable and replacing them with systems that may not be fully trained, overseen by people that don't understand, you're going to have issues, and those issues are going to be significant, and they're probably going to be terminal to the company over time. So I don't like the trends I'm seeing. That there are smart companies out there that are using AI appropriately. It's my opinion that they're not in the majority, and I should point out the technology companies are not setting a very good example here.
Thank you. Paul, what you want to discuss about AI, your media, specifically your upcoming conference?
Okay, so thank you, Sharif, and it's interesting, Rob. I think still, I mean, AI, there's no doubt about it, is a tool, a media tool, I'm even call it, to increase the opportunity to learn more, because it's massive. And then 30 seconds, you can have a whole new ad campaign. You could have beautiful pictures. You can, I mean, it's just mind-boggling. A buddy of mine had to fill out a government form for edibles, I'll call it, since it's legal. And it was 100 pages of questionnaire and so on and so forth. I think it did it in 2 hours. It plugged it in. So, however, I think, on the humanities side of things, I think you're still certain areas in life, people will make decisions on whether they want human contact. I know this is a little silly story, but when I got bar mitzvah, so I'm a little 13-year-old guy, my rabbi said to me, who his home was next to IBM, that's why I bring it up, he said, I'm only going to tell you one thing. Buy IBM stock. Okay. So, I'll have to be honest. I didn't listen to my rabbi because I was like 13 years old. How am I going to buy IBM stock? I should have bought it a little later on. But I still think the human mindset is still powerful. But I think we're actually more in concern, let's say, is what they call them their robots. Because you might need a human being to deliver AI information or to put in the keywords to get the information you want. But are we going to use AI to feed the robot? The robot's going to, are we just really wiping ourselves out as in humanity? And I think that robots is part of the conversation as we see more robotics occurring in the world of business and in the world of life. So that's my 2 cents. We do have we'll invite you all on September 19th. We take over Times Square. for the International Day of Peace, and then a Climate Week beginning with a concert starting at 12 noon. Ringo Starr will ask for a moment of silence for peace. It's the United Nations Day, International Day of Peace, and we will rebroadcast on September 21st, which is the United Nations. 193 countries agreed to a Day of Peace. So we're trying to pause the world. 1.6 billion people are aware of it, according to McKinsey Co. And we're hopefully going to get more people on that page. And wouldn't it be nice for everybody to make love and not war at 12 noon on the 21st? So we're dedicated the 24th year producing this concert. And we welcome you. We're calling it, which we've had this URL for a long time, Peace Day Party. I've always wanted to throw a party in Times Square. And actually, I did Woodstock in Times Square back in 1989. And we'll show a movie that I did with Richie Havens on the 21st. But we're looking to calm people down with the OHM organization and throw a party at the end of it. So that's my and my team and our team and the humanity team, all of us in this world together from the moon. Thank you, Sharif, and thank you everyone on here.
Yeah, thank you. You add all faith and spiritual. What do you mean? How you want to share these things with our audience?
Well, I actually went to the oldest interfaith seminary called the New Seminary here in New York for a couple of years, and they were able to get the state to agree to make it legal for the graduates of that seminary, which is a 2-year program, to officiate different events, not literally for the same religion. I'm not a rabbi, I'm not a priest, I'm not an imam, but I can marry anybody who wants to be married. I can do any kind of a service and ceremony officially, state and government recognized, so you can get tax benefits. A big reason to get married. No. Okay, so that's my silliness, but I love to do that. And
Okay, thank you, Rob. Mr.
But I got to run.
Thank you. I
I'll
write
see
a
you.
book
Thank
on
you, Sharif. Thank you, everyone.
wisdom and thank you for time. Hopefully, we can go for another podcast. So, what skill and competency should students and recent graduate priorities today to remain competitive in an AI-driven job market over the next decade? Mr. Rob.
Well,
Mr. Rob.
a couple of skills. One is critical thinking. AI is kind of flooding the market with AI slop, and a lot of it is no basis in reality. And we've had certainly waves of that to begin with, but for everything from selecting their career path to where they live to who they marry could be buried underneath AI slop. And so critical thinking is probably a core skill. Obviously, prompting, understanding how to properly prompt an AI, how to get the results that they need. The general recommendation is pick up some humanities skills, some people training and skills. The courses that I took when I was undergraduate were under a headline called Manpower Management, but they're adjuncts into psychology as well. So you understand, so you build up an understanding of things that AIs are not particularly good at. Communication skills, collaboration skills. Those are all things that will serve in a variety of areas, and then you do want to pick up at least a little bit of subject matter expertise, so that you understand at least enough so you understand where you want to be, where you want to go, and so you have a basis to orchestrate AIs. And then I think finally, pick up some AI research skills. And typically I say research skills, but I'm going to moderate that with AI research skills. So you understand when you ask a query of an AI, what to challenge to make sure that what you're getting is in fact accurate. And so the testing methodology isn't too dissimilar, where you're going back and you're looking for accuracy in responses, And if the student, and certainly encouraging the student to use AI, but being very harsh when it comes to a student missing a mistake that the AI makes. So they're trained to use multiple AIs, multiple sources. They constantly validate their work. When the AI provides sources, you don't take them without challenging them, which takes us back to that critical thinking aspect. Looking at some of the lessons we've learned, particularly with attorneys using AI, is they didn't check the citations that the AI provided. And in many cases, those citations were fake. And so the AI provided a great argument, but it was backed up by false information. And several of those folks have now been disbarred. In other words, they lost their legal license and can no longer practice law. And disbarments are relatively hard to overturn or get reversed. So that, you spend all your time in law school, you finally get a nice job as an attorney, and then you lose your license. Both of those things are effectively gone. You might be able to come back in as a paralegal, but that's about it. You're not going to be practicing for a while. So those are the set of skills. Basically, they're more operational skills. And then if you're going to go into a technical area, a highly technical area, medicine, engineering, you are going to need to pick up the basics. You may not need the advanced skills that AI will eventually provide for you, the enhancements. But if you don't understand the basics, how things fundamentally work, then your ability to ask or formulate an effective query is going to be highly limited, and your ability to catch an AI that's made a mistake is going to be non-existent. And so what we're talking about here is a major change in how education is done. And as we talk about these companies getting rid of these entry-level jobs and the smart companies turning employees into orchestrators, AI orchestrators, well, you got to teach these people how to orchestrate AI, which platforms are effective, which tools can you use to identify the effective platforms and where they are effective. I just had a query come in on Palantir the other day, and it's a very powerful tool. One of the most effective AIs currently in the market, but highly connected to government and the military infrastructure, and with a lot of risks with regard to oversight and direction, and not a lot of focus on ethics. And so while it is a very performant tool, you've got to be really sure that you want to do this. If you're in government, and particularly if you're in the defense industry, you're not going to have a choice. But if you're not, and particularly if you're in an area that is much more focused on serving people, or in an area that is much more liberal by nature, then it's not going to be your best choice at all. So that despite the fact that it is very performant, so those are the kinds of things that they're going to need to learn. They're going to need to learn how. Basically, going to need to learn how to use the tools, effectively, and when to know when the tools have gone off the rails, and how to protect their companies and their job from that kind of mistake.
Okay. Ali, what's your thought? What skill and competency should a student and recent graduate prioritize today to remain competitive in the AI-driven job market over the next decade?
Okay, so I think they need to build AI literacy and master the tools that are relevant to the field that they're going in, so that then they don't only know of them, but they know how to apply them. And that it would be even better if they've got a portfolio to show, so that they can demonstrate their productivity and highlight the projects, and show the initiatives they've got, and kind of be aware of the differentiators as well, so that they can demonstrate their problem solving and their communication and their kind of solutions to things, so that they can demonstrate a quality of impact that they can make in what they do. And I think kind of looking for companies that kind of in their training, they augment the AI, but their teams, it's not pure automation, sorry, that the teams actually are augmented by the AI, so that they achieve more, because the AI is kind of combined with, whatever the process is. So I think kind of upskilling all the time, so that you keep, I think it's the same as the design and, technology as well, that, if you obviously things continually evolve, and you need to upskill with the latest technology so that you can kind of achieve kind of best practice. And so, but I think one of the things that's really important, that humans have the edge over collaboration and co-creating and having vision and kind of liaising together and kind of jointly achieving something that wouldn't be achieved if they were if it was an individual process. So I think the thing is that there's something really special about a creative process that everyone's involved with, and for whatever reason, it kind of just magnifies the possibility that you wouldn't achieve. So it's really interesting. So I think that creative process is really important. People need to be open-minded and quite versatile, and whatever given. So if whatever the brief is, they need to kind of push the boundaries to kind of innovate, really, so that they can do things differently. And I think AI is in place, but I don't think it should override anything else. And I think that I've always said, that the power of the human mind and creativity is incredible. And I think most people haven't really explored it. So I think that's really key as well. And having the confidence to lead and put forward your ideas, so that, as opposed to, because I think sometimes juniors are kind of quite subservient, and there's kind of a hierarchy. And we had a couple of meetings at Google, actually. And I think what was really interesting is the young people that were in there were chosen because they had these ideas that were fire. And, and I think the thing is, that's what I work with children that are primary age, and I think the thing is that their vision and possibility is incredible too. So I just think that there's something about kind of being unbounded and having kind of this ability to imagine and create is incredible. And I think most of the companies that do have innovative, kind of amazing, even branding, they kind of demonstrate that playful kind of, there's something about, and social media also demonstrates where the talent is, because obviously young people go to where the things that kind of inspire them go. So I think there's a real power. I think even Disney now goes to find animators because they find who are getting the biggest hits on their animation. So I think the thing is that there's a whole new world where young people can create and be found, because so many people realize their talent. So I think it goes back to that talent and showcasing what you can do as well. So I think one of the things in the UK, I know that psychologically our education system tends to make us quiet and tends to make us not show off, and and in the States, that the ability to just showcase and embrace your ability is second to none. So I think we need to kind of bridge the kind of contrast between the US and the UK, because I think definitely in the UK we've still got this kind of old traditional thing that if you apply for a job and you haven't been doing it for 3 or 4 years and you haven't got experience to show, that they probably won't let you in the door. Whereas in the States, there was loads of opportunities that I found just because they knew that I had skills and talent. So I think kind of making sure that pool of talent is found is really important.
Thank you. Lisa, what's your thought? What skill and competency should student and recent graduate prioritize?
Well, we prioritize here in the project that I'm working on is the consolidation and unification of a number of skills that are being used to, make for happier societies, more careful societies, and dissolve issues and differences that people have. With AI skills, of course, handling the data, piece of cake. But when it comes down to designing new programs to replace ones that have aged out for whatever reason, most likely the reason of technology, I think we're going to be seeing that there's going to be a very large rush of many different programs put together by AI to assess and address specific issues that certain activities have, such as schooling for youth in disparate places where it's hard for them to get to a classroom. activities where there's a lot of actual physical motion going on. What would be the best way of getting certain things done? Certainly, we'll be seeing AI tackle these things, but we're also going to be seeing a great deal of correspondence going on between humans and AI as we bring them into these systems where a lot of physical activity is part of what has to occur. As that moves forward, who knows what it will come up with? And of course, that's the question that we're all sitting on right now. Who knows what AI is going to come up with in the end? Who knows how it will be coming together? What is going to be a trigger point for a number of professions in terms of the use of artificial intelligence? And when it comes to, well, creating a more peaceful and interactive planet, where do we divide those roles? That's going to be very, very interesting to see in just the next few years. So coming forward and gathering the groups that we do on the ground that are already active, once AI comes in, yes, it will increase the efficiency of collaborative systems, which are already by their nature much more efficient than individual nonprofits or charity organizations. How that can be improved upon by AI, I'm not quite certain. It's one of those where we're going to have to play a wait and see as this program expands over larger regions of the globe. Presently, we've got a majority of Africa. We're now venturing into Asia and Southern Europe. And of course, we've got groups in South America as well, Brazil and Argentina. So as that project moves forward, I'm more than happy to let you know what shape it takes, because AI will be playing a role.
Thank you. Mr. David Smith, as you are AI expert, what responsibility do employers, university, government have to ensure that AI enhance rather than replace the development of the early career talents? What's your thoughts? How we can improve that area?
Well, I love the question, Dr. Shreve, because it goes back to when we had every technology transition over the past. And it's asking the same question, is how do we do it? When we went from using animals to plow, to tractors, to steel blades, when we went from water power to mechanical power, same thing. And, universities, governments carry a distinct responsibility ensuring that AI enhances early career development rather than distracting from it. The stakes are high. If institutions fail, we risk creating a generation of workers who can be highly credentialed, but totally underexperienced. How's the way to put this? A structural trade deficit that would weaken innovation, competitiveness, and natural resiliency. The core idea, I think, is AI should eliminate low-value tasks, not early career learning. And that's a balancing act. And I think employees have to redesign the early career ladder. I see this all the time today. You need to replace more grunt work with apprenticeships. Kind of like going back to the Agorian market in ancient Greece. Apprenticeships have been something that's beneficial through millennia, and we just forgot about it in the modern age. AI takes away repetitive tasks, but we must replace them with guided decision-making, rotations through different parts, shadowing opportunities, mentorship programs, and small project ownership. One of the key roles is taking these entry-level people and growing them to where they can manage projects using AI and people. And we need to create AI augmented entry roles. we must use AI to help accelerate output. Learn judgment by evaluating multiple scenarios generated by artificial intelligence. And let me rephrase that again, multiple scenarios where, I love doing that. I like putting the same type of prompts in to different AI tools and say, generate me 2 scenarios. Boy, the results are so surprising, it's unreal. But they're all using the same type of LLM. We need to build workflows, not just complete a task. And workflows is something that entry-level folks will benefit from their whole career. And we need to invest more in human capital and human development. You've heard me say this so many times, I hate saying it again, but we're in a time of lifelong learning. And the push to AI demonstrates that even more. And the speed of the push to AI really reinforces it. So we should commit to internal academy, literacy programs, not just for the employees, but across the community, academia, the government as well, because it takes all of them to grow workforce. We need to protect early entry-level pathways. Where does a junior learn this skill now? How do we preserve the development ladder? And universities have to teach AI fluency. We need to replace passive learning with experimental apprenticeships and internships. And we need to really, this is the biggest one, teach human skills that AI cannot replicate. Judgment, communication, creativity. And I'm going to go even beyond what Rob said earlier, because I totally support what he says, but I think we need to teach systems thinking, because systems thinking is where AI is today. And if we as humans can't do it, it's going to be hard to work with AI. But all 3 institutions share responsibility: employees, university, and governments. Universities must modernize, employees must lead, but governments must help provide the incentives and the safeguards and everything to come together. And that's why a Technopolis works. So Dr. Sharif, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rob, what's your thought about this question?
Sure. Well, let's take it down to each category. For employers, they need to start thinking about turning employees from creators to curators. The idea that employees are focused now more on assuring quality, how to interrogate systems to assure accuracy, and then of course helping them develop critical judgment skills that will help them throughout their careers, and generally preserving the struggle. They need to assign foundational projects, not just have people carry things through as independent contributor, but and have them operate on autopilot, but actually understand what it is they're doing and what it is they're trying to accomplish. When I studied the founding managers of IBM, Thomas Watson Jr. in particular, he had a practice that I think it would carry through even through AI. And when he visited a site, he'd sit down with the rank and file employees and a selection of them and ask them what they did to contribute to IBM's core strategies, core ideals, and the end result. In other words, how do they fit within the company, and what is their importance? And if they couldn't answer that, he would lay into management. He wouldn't lay into them, because it was management's responsibility, in his view, and it's my view as well, to ensure the employee knows what it is they're contributing, and that informs the employee how to optimize their time, how to prioritize, and how to advance, how to school themselves in order to advance in the firm. and firms need to value mentorship. So that the people that have been there for a while are helping to train the people that are coming in. Mentorship is something that's kind of gone by the wayside over the last couple of decades, and particularly now as we're entering AI, where it's really critical to understand the existing environment which a company is operating real time, and the nature of the tools, the nature of the company, and even the political dynamics in the firm. Some of my best training in IBM had nothing to do with product or process. It had to do with politics, and that's something that a mentor can provide that virtually nothing else, at least that I know of, will work as well. And then for universities, they need to shift dramatically from product to process, rather than having people do reports and complete problems. They need to understand how to get these new systems to accomplish those same tasks and accomplish those same tasks not only effectively but accurately and with a solid foundation of quality. Then the basis, the baseline training should be AI fluency. That's the skill set that's going to carry them forward. And I'm still not seeing a whole lot of effort by universities on AI fluency. Certainly, AI coding on the computer side, but not a broad effort cutting across disciplines on AI fluency. I mean, everything from medicine to social work is going to require a certain level of AI fluency here in real time. And if you don't have that skill, and particularly when they graduate, if they don't have that particular skill, then they're not going to be employable. And talking about skills, really double down on human skills. As I mentioned before, collaboration, cooperation, understanding human dynamics. Those are things that I think David also pointed out that AI just doesn't do well. And that means that people have to fill that particular gap. And then finally, for governments, governments need to incentivize human capital, so that there is an effort and funding going in to assure that people continue not just providing subsidies for data centers. They really need to assure that the population rises up and becomes capable in this coming future. Otherwise, you just have lots of unemployment, lots of homelessness, and a mess, and probably a number of very violent revolutions as the unemployed and unemployable really don't want to starve to death. And so government needs to step in and ensure that outcome is not our outcome. It needs to fund lifelong learning, because people have to maintain certifications and update those certifications throughout their life, because this technology is changing on almost a quarterly basis now. It's very fast and likely to change even faster going forward. And that means that people have to consistently re-educate, and government needs to support that effort. And finally, setting industry standards. Labor boards, unions, industry leaders, all of these folks need to be part of the conversation. If it becomes like, I see Allie's cat's tail coming in on top of the image, is kind of fun. So that labor's on board with these changes. Otherwise, you're going to create a disconnect between labor and a good chunk of the population and what the government's trying to accomplish. And so these labor boards, these unions, have to be in line with these decisions and supportive of them, because if they don't support them, they're not going to happen. You can't just dictate what people do. You need to get their support organizations behind this, so they're hearing from people that they trust. And at this moment, they probably don't trust the government, at least not here. And therefore that they are motivated to make these changes that need to be made. And as a race, we don't like change. So helping people move to an environment where you're constantly learning, where you're developing your creative skills, where you're improving your cognitive abilities, and where you're improving your critical thinking skills. That's the term I was struggling with there for a minute. Your critical thinking skills to be able to survive in the future that is coming.
Yeah, thank you. Madam Ali Rice, my last question for you. If you could redesign the concept of an entry-level job for the AI era, what would it look like, and how would it prepare the next generation of the leader? What's your closing remarks?
I think that they should. I think that they should use creative processes, and most of the people actually that have done really well that I know have actually have done degrees that are specific to what they want to do. And it's like there's a guy that I know that's older than me, so in his mid-60s, and he did a degree through Jaguar that was specific to the engineering they needed for that particular company. So I think the thing is that I think they need to specify roles and be really specific about the skills that they need for whatever field they're going in, so that there's kind of less, you know, I think so that those skills can be applied, so when they graduate they're ready. So one of the reasons that my son chose the course that he did is that the software they use in all the production is used in the industry, and when he looked at other film schools, they didn't use the same software as the industry does. And he's also based in Wales, which is Cardiff is kind of the heart of the kind of media and television industry in Wales as well. So I think the thing is, one of the reasons that he chose that particular school is because he'd be ready to use the equipment that he needed to go into industry straight away. And it's also, I think he's also worked on a documentary with the BBC already. So I think the thing is, those connections are really important. But I think the thing is, you need to be really sure where you're going, what your goal is, and where those foundational kind of expertise, technology, you know, you need to get all the skill set. So when you come out of university and you've got the qualification, you're ready to go into the industry and can demonstrate what you can do, whatever industry that might be. So yeah, so I think it really needs to be specialized, unless you know that you're kind of open, but you know that you want to use certain skills. But I still think it's much easier having a goal and a destination than it is to kind of have lots of different targets and not be focused. So I think you really need to be focused on what you're setting out to do. So yeah, unless you set your own company up because no one else will employ you because you've got no experience, and then you do what I did and go around the world. So yeah, you could do that instead. So yeah, and that was all skill based as well. So you know, so I think true entrepreneurs actually kind of find a way if they get, you know, so I spent a year applying for graduate roles and got turned down because of a lack of experience. So I set my own business up, and I was supported by the Prince's Trust, which is now the King's Trust because Prince Charles is now king. But you know, so I think that where there's a will, there's a way. But I think you need to be really focused on what you want to do, because I think that's where that focus goes, where energy flows. So I think that the focus is really important.
Thank you, Mr. David. If you could redesign the concept of entry-level job for the AI era, what it would be like?
Can you hear me?
How does it work, and what's your closing remarks for today?
What's the sound?
Well, Dr. Sharif, I don't normally talk about other programs. I'm going to make an exception in this instance. I was on the advisory board that built a brand new degree program at University of Texas at Austin called the Human Dimensions Organization. It was part philosophy. It was part psychology. It was part of all these other disciplines coming together. And Rob, actually, IBM Austin sent probably 7,500 people through. It is an excellent master's program, and it has now gone to other universities as well. But you know, if you look at something like the HDO program, Human Dimension Organization program, it gives you the broader base of skills like Rob was talking about, like Hallie was talking about, which I think are very important today. You know, AI handles the task today in a new entry-level type role, but humans have the judgment. You know, you need to teach how to direct AI, really not compete with it. You need to build human skills that AI can't replicate. And it includes the networks like Ali was talking about. Expose junior entry-level people to real decisions earlier. I think that's going to be a real key. And again, develop system thinking, not siloed execution, structured mentorship and feedback. It should be built around apprenticeships by design, not by luck. Structured problem ownership. AI co-creation is a core skill. And I do mean co-creation. And rotation experience throughout the organization. I believe personally, every entry-level employee should rotate initially through 3, 4, 5 functions. It might be product, operations, strategy, data, some customer facing, which would scare me to death. But this builds system thinking, it builds cross-functional literacy, organizational awareness, and it helps prepare them for leadership. And I think that's what's missing today with a lot of the emphasis on AI. In reality, AI, I believe, increases the needs for juniors who can learn judgment earlier, because seniors are going to rely on them to manage the AI-driven workflow, evaluate the outputs, and handle the human complexity that AI cannot touch. So to me, it's going back to the apprenticeships, lifelong learning, group intelligence, where the human and the AI form that group intelligence. And I believe that is, Dr. Shreve, where a new entry-level job should look like.
Thank you, Mr. Rob. What's your final comments for this question? And what's your closing remarks for today?
Sure, and I'll keep it brief. In the old model, we were really talking about employees in their first 3 years being able to follow instructions. That's the way we've kind of always done it when I was growing up, and that's changed. In the suggested redesign model, these employees spend their first 3 years proving they can critically evaluate complex systems, manage security boundaries, and apply competitive context to automated data. Particularly looking at competitive synthesis would be where I would focus a lot of the early work for these employees. They aren't just learning how to do the work; they're learning how to manage the entity doing the work, and the exact skill set required, and developing the exact skill set required for a modern executive. In other words, you're reforming your seed corn into people that can grow with the organizations as the technology advances, and that they're able to use these tools effectively to the benefit of their company. Staying with the old rule means that you'll end up replacing these folks. They won't come up in the company, and by the 2040s, these firms that have not developed their entry employees will be hollowed out or be out of business. And right now, these firms really need to be reforming their basis for seed corn, be creating the foundations for the executives that will lead their companies into the next couple decades. And if they don't do that, then their company won't be around in the next couple decades.
Yeah, thank you. This is excellent discussions. I request all of our audience, please share this content with the government agency, corporation, and academia. Thank you, Mr. Rob, and thank you, Mr. David Smith, and thank you, Ali Rice, for your continuous support. From next month, World Talent Economic Forum, we are launching our CEO development program with Chittagong Engineering University. We are inviting all of the 8 universities, students, and the entrepreneurs, and so on. So that this kind of session is very important, and definitely Ali Rice, David Smith, Rob Dundee, they will be your mentors, and we will bring venture capitals and the local communities and the local research centers and everything. So hopefully it will be more interactive sessions, it will be more effective sessions, and it can bring more economical growth for all of us. Thank you, Mr. Rob. Thank you, David, and thank you, Ali Rice, for your excellent support. Thank you. Bye-bye, and take care.